In this video, I'm going to tell you about the art of telling the same story over and over and over again so that you get to build your own personal brand on a social media platform like LinkedIn or Instagram. Primarily, we're going to focus on LinkedIn because that's where I've generated over 1,200 leads for my clients in the first 6 months of running my agency in 2026. So today we're going to cover the art of telling the same story. What's the purpose behind you posting content on these platforms? How you can diversify your different posts to make sure that you attack building trust from all these different angles, what skills are required from you to actually create that content. And then we're going to wrap it off with how you can just get started today and not have to wait so long. So first of all, why is it so important to be able to tell the same story over and over again? The whole game of content is just building trust through repeated exposure because there's a rule in content marketing. I think it's originally coming from Tai Lopez, one of the big early internet marketers, which basically saying that in order for a person to fully trust you to make the decision whether they want to buy something from you, they need to have at least 7 hours of either actively consuming your content or passively thinking about what you said in that content, basically you living in their head rent free. Because if we really consider why we're advertising on the internet, it's so that we get to have access to a bigger network. And when we have access to a bigger network, we get to sell our products or services to more people. This is what we want. This is why we want to grow our businesses, obviously. Now, the key with content is that you obviously only have so many stories in your bank. You obviously only have so many results. So if, let's say, you've only worked with 5 clients and generated 5 of them results, how can you possibly make more than 5 content pieces out of it? Or let's say you're only 30 and you've traveled to 5 countries and you don't have that much experience with different cultures. How are you going to be able to talk about the experiences that you've had from all these different angles so that your stories keep people, first of all, engaged, but second of all, also thinking about you as they're making their decisions? So the whole purpose is trust. But the way we do it is we break down the anatomy of a single content piece into many different shapes. So the first axis we're going to be looking about is what kind of content are you creating? I'm going to be speaking specifically to LinkedIn because this is exactly where my clients are working, where I'm posting most of my content outside of YouTube. Hello, YouTube here. The key is that you need to mix up different types. Otherwise, your content will be too generic or perhaps too corporate or perhaps too focused on yourself. We don't want that. What we want to have is to have a roughly an unequal split where we're going to have 60% of our content focused on giving value. I'm talking to specific, actionable, practical advice. For example, in this video, you're learning exactly what are the different content types that you can write and how you can tell the same story over and over again in order for you to write content that will build trust with your audience so that I get to sign more clients. And we're going to take that and add the rest. So the 40%, we're going to split it roughly equally between personal stories. So you talking about your own life experiences. And this is very important in the era of personal brands because right now everybody can tell basically, okay, here's a list of 10 things that you need to do in order to grow a brand, right? Everybody can throw in some of their own testimonials, but showing that you're also a human, showing what values you stand for will build an immense level of trust because everything else could be automated by AI right now, can't it? So this is exactly why it's important. The remaining 2 of the 40% are testimonials. You obviously want to be showcasing as much as you can your client results so that people know that someone else has already trodden this path and they're not going to be the first ones, that the risk with working with you is taken care of. And the last part that we're going to have outside of the personal stories, the client testimonials, is we also want to have some of our own thought leadership. And when I mean thought leadership, I specifically mean industry takes on the trends or on the popular beliefs that some of your competitors have, or perhaps are relevant to the changes that are happening around in the industry. I'll give you some examples for all these different posts, and then we're going to go to the second axis. And the second axis is going to be how we're going to be writing these posts. So a couple of examples. Actionable advice. If you're looking to build your own content engine, if you're looking to build your own personal brand, then the things you might be looking into, for example, could be how often should I be posting? Why? At what time should I be posting my content? what is the ideal length of a post? What is the ideal way to write a hook? What is the ideal way to match that hook with a visual? What's the ideal way to write a call to action? How do you write posts that more people engage with? How do you track the right metrics so that we know that we're not just going into vanity, which could be impressions, by the way, and we're just going after the things that are going to long-term guarantee that we're going to sign some clients, because this is exactly what we want from content as business owners. I could give you plenty more examples, right? Another one would be how do we tell the same story over and over again, right? What are the different ways of telling that, which I'm going to tell you in a second? All these different things would come under the umbrella of actionable advice, something that a person can take at least one idea from and implement it the same day, possibly within 5 minutes. Then when we have some personal stories, gosh, anything from the people you've met, from the jobs you've worked, from the countries you've traveled, from the things that are standing for, maybe of some charities that you are working with, anything that will make you relatable. The goal of personal content is to make you relatable. We don't want to just be relatable, because otherwise we would become influencers or social media stars. And by the way, these people usually are broke because they don't have a good product and people don't trust that their service is able to help them accomplish some goal. They're just very relatable, so people want to keep engaging with their content. Not the best place to be in, especially in LinkedIn, which is a B2B platform. Then we have the client testimonials, and this is really the most standardized way. Just the results that you get, the closer you can get to revenue, the better. So obviously, if you've just worked with a couple of clients and you can't pinpoint any results, it's already good to mention them. If you implement a process that help them improve some metric, let's say leads, hours saved on a particular process, that's already good. Best if you can tie it directly to revenue, because people can feel the impact. And obviously, the higher the number and the more in detail you go into your testimonial, the better the post is going to be. And then the last one that we have is the thought leadership. And for thought leadership / industry takes, what you want to do is you want to look at what's trending right now, or what are some of the things that are seeing your competitors speak that you don't necessarily agree with, because this is exactly where you're going to be able to find your own unique angle on things. If you're doing everything the same, obviously your personal stories are going to be your own. But I have some clients that I got results for. If you're posting some tips on how people can get value from your content, but you're not really standing for anything in the industry, it's going to be hard for you to differentiate yourself from others. So thought leadership, let's say you're in the marketing space like I am, the thing that you definitely want to have at least an ounce of a stance on is the AI. Like, how's AI changing in your particular niche, in your particular channel where you're an expert? Should people be using AI more? Why? Why not? All these different takes will already guide you through how you should be writing your own content. So now that we've got through what are the different types of posts that we can post so that I can fill our entire calendar, I'm going to tell you exactly how you can turn one story or one piece of advice into 20 different posts. And it's as simple as focus on the very angle of this post. So if you're telling a story, so we're talking about personal stories here. What is the thing that the reader is walking away with? Are you trying to inspire them? Are you trying to warn them of something? Are you trying to share your lesson? Are you trying to share some of the cool people that you've met? Or if you're writing a actionable advice post, are you going to give them tips on how to do something better? Are you going to give them steps on how they should execute a particular process? Are you going to share some of the mistakes that you've had during this process? Are you going to share with them resources? Are you going to share with them stats, perhaps? Maybe have some statistics that you want to share. You can be talking about the very same thing. Frameworks, resources, ideas, books. Heck, why not? Testimonials, people you've talked with, tips, tricks, all of these different things. Think about the one core thing that you want people to get from your content piece, and then write the entire thing around it. Same goes for client testimonials. Are you going to talk about the very results that I got in that particular post? So like, hey, we've generated them 660 leads in 7 weeks. Or are you going to talk about breaking beliefs? So my client didn't believe it was possible. Here's exactly what changed in their belief after we've got them that particular result. So these are the 4 different types, and you can use all these different angles to actually talk about in your post. And now, in order to say the same story over and over again, you also need to have some skill in what I call showmanship. So showmanship is going to be different on different platforms. On YouTube, for example, you need to be a good yapper. If you look at people who are doing well, they are able to capture and keep people's attention over the span of minutes, sometimes hours, because they're talking about something valuable. If we're talking about LinkedIn, on LinkedIn, the showmanship would be being able to match your post with your visuals, right? LinkedIn is a text plus visual platform. It's not necessarily a video platform. It's more of image platform. So for example, if we're talking about the personal story, are you able to match it with a good visual that is going to match the story? If you're posting actionable advice for creating an infographic, is this actually matching the very text of the post? You need to be able to transfer that information in media, right? So you need to be able to transfer it by either images or through voice, as I'm talking to you right now, and video as well, depending on the platform that you're posting on. Now, if you've already watched through this video, I'm going to give you a special gift. So if you've been thinking about creating your own content, I'm actually going to give you the entire content system that you can implement into your own business completely for free. Other businesses are charging hundreds of dollars for it. You get yours for free. I'm going to walk you through exactly how you can ideate your own content, how you can write your posts, how you can make sure that every single week you're producing high quality posts that can execute yourself using the template below. So go and grab it. It's free. I'm just going to ask you for an email so I can send it to you. And I'll see you in the next video. Have an amazing day. Take care.